We are still in the midst of U.S. corporate earnings season, and technology stocks in particular are still reporting. We just heard from Google and AMD, and both of those stocks are, as I'm recording this, trading lower. And so what I think it's really important at this juncture here in the year of the trader is that we don't get stuck to a narrative that we are led to believe for whatever reason. We need to be open-minded. If our thesis gets proven wrong, we need to admit that to ourselves, because otherwise this could be a very, very challenging year. And again, that's why we're calling it the year of the trader. Speaking of challenging and being open-minded, let's have a look at shares of AMD. And, I'm sure if you were to ask around your circle of friends and people and social media and so on and so forth, AMD would be one of the stocks that lots of people will like. Well, and that certainly could be the case. There is a bullish story there for sure in the longer term that I would not disagree with. However, it's also factual that the following has been taking place. So this is why we make a very big deal of staying true and measuring and mapping trends. So you can see that, for example, AMD currently is bearish trend. I'll get to that more in a minute. But you can see it moved into this green background color back in April of 2023. For the most part, remained bullish all the way until that trend changed from bullish to neutral in July of 24. I can tell you, I track this very closely. Very few analysts, if any, were talking about this turning into a bearish trend. Well, ultimately, after a whole bunch of pain and a whole lot of nothingness, the stock settled into a more steady bearish trend, which has now been in place since essentially October. The stock since then is down quite heavily. As I'm recording this here pre-market on Wednesday morning, the stock is so far down about 34% from that point. And so my point is, just because there's a narrative and someone on TV or who knows where is spinning a story that this is a bullish stock, it's a question of time frame. Right now, the fact is that this stock is in a bearish trend, according to our measurements, and that has clearly been correct, and you can see that factually here on the screen. Now, if we take a look at this through a bit of a different lens and look at this more from a near-term momentum perspective, we use something called our TST Trender Momentum Indicator, and what you want to focus on here is the down arrow that appeared on the 30th of October, which is basically telling us that the trend, the red background color I showed you before, is actually accelerating to the downside. And again, indeed, since that point, the stock is down about 26 whatever percent. So we both have a momentum that's bearish, and we have the trend that's bearish. So from our perspective, in terms of being able to respect the trend, there's very little reason to go in here and try to be a hero and catch a falling knife. At some point, the trend will change back to neutral and maybe back to bullish. That's entirely possible. It's just not where we are right now, and certainly momentum could do that too. But right now, until we see that changing, I do not think this is a stock that I want to be a hero with. So I just thought I would point this out again. It's very important here in the year of the trader. We don't think the blindly buying the dips is going to work anymore. We need to be open-minded to all potential outcomes. So that's what we're doing here for this year.